around lately.
I'm over
Yeah, I know. Scandalous.
I don't have time for that mess.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to a Classy Chicks Vintage Flicks. And once again, it's going to be a good night because we're laughing already. Thank you guys so much for coming out and joining us. As always, my name is Jennifer here with Vintage Vanity. And we have with me, as always, my two of my loveliest friends and some of the most kindest and smartest people I know. So let's give it up to Modern Retro Gal, who, by the way, you'll see some boxes in the background because what happened?
I moved! Yay!
She moved about 2 blocks closer to me. Still about 4,000 miles, but 2 blocks closer. Actually, technically, I think you moved away from me because you moved closer to the ocean.
Well, no, we're about the same. We're just a little more north on the freeway.
Okay, so you did move slightly away from me. It's okay. It's okay. I will not take offense. And
not sure.
And as always, we have, who else is there? Right there. Who's that lovely lady?
Oh, hi. Who's gonna be over here tonight?
Oh my god. We are the best at introducing live streams. I mean, people really, you know what? Take notes.
Paid. Like, seriously, we should get paid to intro people's just live streams.
I know. We'll be rolling in it.
We need to have.
Yeah.
Already tonight we have Janet, Mary, and Sparky Bish is in the audience. So hello, ladies. And Mary is just reminding us all and taunting Heather to say that, did you know Dita Von Teese is going to be at Viva?
Yes.
Sadly, we will have 2D Fancy will be there. She will not be in 3D. Giggles McGillicuddy over there. And Amanda Clark is here as well as Mary Vintage Camper Girl. So hello. Thank you. And I think this might be Amanda's first time joining us, maybe, perhaps. If it is, welcome. Oh, Dizzy Makeup Girl made it on. Hi. We're very excited by this already. Yes, so right off the top, I do want to mention that 2/3 of us will be at Viva this year. So we will be doing a meetup. So if you want to come by and see a flat version of Heather, as well as full 3D or 4D versions of JL and I, come down and see us. I think we are planning on doing it on Friday, and I believe it's, unless we can find something better, we'll do an official like Facebook and Instagram thing. But probably that little like piano bar down in the Orleans, because we wanted to do something that was more social, so we could just stand around and have some drinks and talk rather than like lining up at a car show. It's just weird. So we want to be silly with you guys in person. So that is something. I know, I feel so bad. And Colleen is here in the background, and she's like, "Damn it," because she's not going this year.
I feel like I should do some sort of giveaway to whoever sends me the best photo of my flat self with that.
Oh my God, yes.
Maybe
we're going to make that happen. We're going to have a flat fancy contest going on.
Yeah.
I love it.
Make sure on a holder that
we'll make your head bigger this year.
Oh, thanks. I thought I was just a shrunken head for the tiki party.
Oh my God.
Had by Sunday because she kept getting rolled up and shoved.
Yeah.
I should make paper doll clothes and send them to you.
Oh my God, yes, that would be amazing.
My hallway runway walk. man.
I love it. Adriana is here as well. And Sparky Bish wants us to know that she is on day 7 of a wet set, and be proud, and we are. Girl, you're rocking it.
Impressive.
Some people are saying that they wish they were going to Viva. We wish you guys were as well. I'm going to miss seeing you guys in missing cocktails too. Yeah. We will just have to do virtual cocktails one day. And also Brianna is here with us. So I don't know if any of you guys, bonus points if you not only saw and watched what happened to Baby Jane, whatever happened to Baby Jane, but bonus points as well if you've been following the series Feud. I think it's on 3 episodes now, and I'm only 2 episodes in, so there's like no spoilers. Aw, kitty, Mr. Darcy.
I got a jumper. Okay, bye.
So we're gonna that's kind of what sparked it. Yolanda was the one who brought it up, like this would be the perfect one, and we were like, oh my gosh, yes. So researching the background that maybe the series hasn't covered yet so far is our lovely Heather from How to Be Fancy. So go ahead, take it away, Heather.
I feel like I need to put on like special glasses. And also I have like a whole flipping notebook of notes that I don't know if I can even read. Well, random plug. Next week on Hissy Fit, which is the new videos that I'm doing, it's all going to be style lessons from Betty and Joan. So I've got a lot of that mixed in here too. So sorry if I like give you weird hints.
Yes.
But that's
we'll place a link in the description to the Hissy Fit channel as well, because Heather is knocking it out of the friggin' park over there, creating some really amazing videos, as well as what she does on her channel.
Thank you. You'll also be really pleasantly surprised, perhaps, in the next week or so by that. Actually, a few of you maybe. I'll link the videos, especially this week and next week, in the Facebook group, because I'm getting like kind of able to do some shout outs. So a few of you might get some shout outs.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Yeah, so I'll make sure to link them. Okay, so Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962. Directed by Robert Aldrich. This is the first time that Betty and Joan had ever come together in a film throughout their long and lucrative careers. And so not only was it a really interesting take because they were in, some would say, past their prime, but if you've been watching Feud, you'll know that they just kind of learned how to make their own way. And Joan was a little bit of a go-getter. So she was able to pitch the idea to Robert Aldrich. She read the book, which was a novel by Henry Farrell. I think that was his name. Yeah, Henry Farrell. And it basically features 2 aging Hollywood starlets who are sisters. I don't know how many of you have seen this, but it is like the epic sibling rivalry meets somewhat of a campy horror film, like just thrown into one big jumble of a 1960s movie, which is kind of great. So we have Betty Davis playing Baby Jane, who was this fantastic child star along with her father, typical kind of vaudeville act when she was younger. Blanche, who was more the background girl, not really any fame until she got older, and then she became a really well-known actress. So that's kind of the premise of the story. At one point, you learn that Blanche is confined to a wheelchair for a very specific reason, and that has ended her Hollywood career. So the story kind of starts with Baby Jane, and her sister living in this house as older women. And Jane just doesn't really have a lot of great feelings toward Blanche, and so she becomes progressively more insane. So that's kind of the premise of the story. Of course, because this is Betty and Joan, there's drama. They were well known for their infamous feud, hence the whole entire premise of the show that's out now. So there's lots of that. I'm sure you guys have a lot of like little tidbits that you know about this too. Funny thing is that the actors themselves don't actually come into the film until like 20 or 30 minutes into the actual film. But in the meantime, you're seeing like the young stars, and then you're also seeing footage from some of their actual films that they did, like as Betty, as Joan. They used footage from their actual earlier years, so from like the 1930s, mid-30s, somewhere around that area. And so when Betty found out that they were looking for footage from her movies during that time, they basically told her, we need footage of you doing not a great acting job. And she said, just pick anything. All of that was bad. So she just kind of totally went for it, let them use whatever they wanted to, because they essentially make fun of her acting in the beginning of the film. So they needed footage of her as a younger person. Barbara Merrill is actually Beadie, who is Betty's daughter. She plays the neighbor girl who's a little bit snoopy. So if you go back and watch that, it's really interesting to see Betty's daughter, who she was estranged from toward the end of her life as a teenager, and she was on set quite a bit, and she may be a little bit of a rebel, a little bit of a wild child, and Joan had twin daughters who were around the same age, and when they all came to set, Joan told her daughters that they were not allowed to spend any time with Beadie because she was a bad influence. So, so I'm sure that went over really well. Interesting, fun thing that when I was watching the movie, in the neighbor's home, you see, I don't know if you guys know who Margaret Keane is. She was an artist during the 1960s, and she does all the Big Eyes paintings. Yeah. And if you haven't seen that movie, it's on Netflix right now. Definitely watch it. But those paintings are in the neighbor's home, but they were actually from Joan Crawford's private collection, which is really cool. My all-time favorite Keane painting is in this film, which is like super exciting for me because it's my all-time favorite painting. And to know that it was actually from her private collection was really cool. Of course, there are a couple of scenes where Jane is imitating Blanche's voice, and Betty Davis herself said that she would not be dubbing over Joan Crawford's voice because she said, there's no one who can do Joan's voice. And that wasn't meant as a compliment. Let's see, a couple other little things. Originally going to shoot, because this was in the 60s, so they were originally going to shoot the film in color, but Betty said that that would be basically taking a sad story and making it pretty. And so she was pretty adamant that they shoot in black and white, just because she thought it would add to the drama and it would keep it from being too much of a pretty film. Another fun fact is that when Betty was creating her character, she ended up actually restyling and using one of Joan Crawford's wigs from an earlier film. And so, is that in the comments?
Yes. Who was it? Oh gosh, I think it was. Yeah, it was Sparky Bish. She asked, she's like, I gotta know if the wig story is true.
That it actually is true from everything that I've read, and I've watched about 7 documentaries at this point on all of this. So from everything I know, a lot of them say that she didn't know that it was Joan's wig, but you gotta think, if a hairdresser is pulling wigs from wardrobe, and Joan Crawford's worn one of them, I don't know. It seems like too big of a coincidence to me that she wouldn't know that she was wearing one of her older wigs. And I think it brilliantly lends to the story. So I'm going to believe it. I don't care. And then let's see. Of course, there's the scene where Betty has to drag Joan out of her bed, and Joan is limp and lifeless, and she's dragging her across the floor trying to get her out of the house. And allegedly, Joan added weights to her body so that she would be heavy, so that it would be really difficult for Betty to drag her out of the room. So lots of little fun things like that. I'm sure it was a great time on set. And there's tons more, but that's kind of some of the juicier stuff. Another really funny thing, which I've noticed when I watched the film, and then as I started reading things, it all made sense. But they had Pepsi Cola in one scene, the end scene of the film itself. And Joan was married to I can't think of his name, but he was like a VP of Pepsi Cola. And so once he passed away, she had to product place Pepsi in a lot of her films and in any like photos, paparazzi photos that she could, because she owed Pepsi Cola a lot of money. And so she had to like represent them even after his death. So to kind of get back at her, because she was super annoyed about that, Betty had a Coke machine brought into set while they were filming.
Oh. Oh my God, I freaking love Betty Davis.
She was like just genius. Like I just love her. I can't even with her. So yeah, those are just a couple of things that I like ran across when I know that there was a lot more, but those are just some of the funnier things that I thought happened while they were filming the movie. So there's like a movie within a movie.
Or a TV series within a movie.
Or perhaps TV series. Way to go, Ryan Murphy.
Yes, exactly. Just to catch us up with a lot of people loving the coverage. A lot of singing of a letter being written to Daddy in the comments, which I love. I've all week. Let's see. Janet thinks it was a great job on Betty's part to do the black and white. I think that's amazing because I saw, like, when I was looking for a screen cap or a screen grab to, remind everybody about tonight, I saw one that was in color, and it just felt very out of place and very, very odd.
Well, especially think about the color of the 1960s, how like it was that very
vibrant.
Yeah, like it totally made sense to do it in black and white.
And a lot of people have been talking about how amazing Betty was in All About Eve. I will place a link in the description because we did 2 months ago, I believe it was, did a movie discussion about All About Eve. Spoiler alert, we loved it, but a lot of good conversation around that. So if anybody's curious, I'll link that in the description below. And yes, 2/3 of us are going to the Rockabilly Weekender. I guess we've got a lot of Marys in the comments tonight. And Dizzy Makeup Girl says, you can tell that the tension was real in the film for sure. And I think that's one of the things that I really, really noticed is, and they mention it kind of in the TV series, but they made each other more magnificent in this film. I think Joan was just incredible, like at the top of her game in this film, and I think it was really driven by Betty's performance as well that really helped bring her up. So it's like, man, what would they have done together if they had done this earlier in their careers, or if they had been allowed to do it earlier in their careers? So I'm going to go round robin really quick, and I am going to be starting with you, JL, just so you know. I want to know what everybody thought about the film. If you saw it, let us know in the comment section what you thought of it. Is it one of your favorites? Do you go back and watch it a lot? Oh, and we were discussing this before we went live as well. Do you consider this a horror film? Because if you guys have been around for a while, and I know a lot of you have, Heather hates horror.
I can't do it.
She was a little disturbed by some of the dinners that were and lunches that were served to Blanche.
Not okay.
Do you consider this to be horror, or do you consider this to be a suspenseful thriller? Well, let us know there. Ooh, comments are coming in already. So while those come in, I'm gonna go over to JL in her new digs to say, what did you think of the film?
Okay, so I will probably be in the minority for how I feel about this. I like the film. I think it's amazing. I think Joan and Betty are flawless in their character portrayal. This is not a movie that I would necessarily go back and watch. It's just not like a movie that I would go back and watch like over and over again. It's probably if I had friends over and were like, let's watch an old movie, it's really not like the first thing that I would go for. And this is the reason why. I personally found it really hard to get invested in these characters. And when there's a movie that I really love and that I'm really like invested in and that I'm going to watch over and over again, it's because I have like this deep connection to the characters. Now I know like within the movie, it also has this sort of theme of like abusive caretakers, you know, because Baby Jane was Blanche's caretaker and she was really kind of, you know, she was sick, and as much as Blanche was sort of trying to watch out for her because it's obvious in the movie that she's an alcoholic, and she's crazy, you know, Jane was also, you know, emotionally and eventually physically abusive towards Blanche. So you've kind of got this going on. The problem that I had with this movie is I was getting so irritated and angry because the neighbors are like this close. And Blanche cannot, she can pull herself up and look out the window, but she can't yell for help. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you can pull yourself up, you can write this letter, you can throw it out the window, you can be hanging and trying to like hide so that when Jane gets home, she can't see you, but you can't yell out the window. She couldn't tell the maid that came once a week, hey, like, I need you to go and get Dr. So-and-so because we need to get this taken care of. It was making me insane. And I was just having I'm feeling connected and invested in the movie because I was just like, I just can't take it anymore. So I actually had a hard time sitting through the movie and actually watching it all the way through because it was just like, it was making me crazy. But like I said, it's amazing movie. It's done really well. I agree that it absolutely should have been done in black and white, and I think in color it would have ruined it, and it would have taken away that severeness that the black and white gave the movie, and I think that was necessary for the story. But I do like it. It's just I can't get like emotionally invested. And for me with movies, like that's a big part of the movie experience for me. Like there's movies that I watch and will watch every single time. And when I was thinking about it, I kept thinking of Disney movies, but like in Cars, every time Lightning McQueen like gets turned around, I'm like, no, don't go that way. This go the right way, and every time he goes the wrong way, you know. And like Toy Story, it's like these movies, like you get invested and you really think maybe this time, and even though you know it's a movie and it's going to be the same outcome every single time. But for me, I didn't have that emotional connection to this movie, and I just got to the point where I was like, you know what, Blanche, whatever you get, you deserve, because you couldn't look to hey, I need help. My sister is a crazy woman and she's abusing me and serving me dead birds and rats. Like, I was just halfway. Like,
I don't think you're wrong, though. I don't think you're wrong. I think you have some very valid points there.
like, so I do sort of love the end of the movie also, though. Like, she's on the beach and Blanche is dying because she hasn't been fed and she was beaten up and dragged and stuff. And it's sort of this like, you know, Jane just finally, I mean, she cracks, but like on the beach, like she really cracked and just became Baby Jane all over again. And it's sort of like there's really no resolve to the movie because you can't resolve that, you know. So I kind of like the way it ended, where it was just sort of like, most likely Blanche was dead and the police found her dead, and Jane's just like twirling on the beach thinking, I'm on stage again. So I thought like the end of the movie was sort of perfect, but I like the movie and I think it's a great movie, but it's just not something that I would sort before. It's not my favorite. It's not on my list of like must-sees for me personally, but that's how I felt.
I think some very, very, very valid points. Important question though, Sparky Bish and Samantha have been discussing how amazing your lipstick is, Jael, and what color is that? And what is it?
It is unique, the brand that I sell, and it is the shade Sizzling in our liquid lipstick, but our liquid lipsticks are more like a liquid cream, not like a suck all the life out of your lips liquid lipstick. So
It's pretty.
And Jael, why don't you put that up on our Facebook group as well? That way, if anybody's interested, they can find that there. Yolanda set up a group for us, Classy Chicks Vintage Flicks on Facebook. If you're not a member, head right on over there. Well, and when this is done, don't go now. Don't leave us.
don't leave.
All right. I love the film. Absolutely love it. I've seen it in bits and pieces, but never in its entirety. This is the first time I really sat down. And I definitely was that person yelling at the TV. Like when she was going down the stairs and she was like, doing this. I'm like, slide down the stairs. It makes more sense. So there was a lot of those moments that were almost like plot devices to like, for whatever reason, she can't yell, but it wasn't really explained enough. So I could completely see the frustration in that. But I think what sucks me more in is how just spot on these characters are and how much they embody those characters, that my enjoyment of just the depth of the characters and where the story goes and how it kind of twists around. Because I definitely, I guess I never got spoiled. I definitely thought it was Baby Jane that ran her over. And then like halfway through the film, I like stopped it and I was like, I don't think it was Baby Jane, and to have that surprise in a movie that hadn't been spoiled for me in a movie of that era, I was like, really impressed by that. And I could definitely see shades of Misery from Stephen King. I'm like, this had to have been what influenced him, whether it was the book or the movie, because there's a lot of that same trapped by a person. But I think Stephen King probably explains it a little bit better so that it would alleviate that frustration of why don't you just yell out the window to the neighbors if you can practically throw a note at her feet, But yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think they just elevated each other in this, and I just like the subtext of everything, like even like that shot where they show like all of Baby Jane's music sheets, and they're all songs about daddy, and even the way she sings it, daddy. It's just, I don't know, there's something creepy there. There's something wrong in that relationship that twisted her, did something to her. Because even in the beginning, you see like Blanche having that reaction to the attention Baby Jane's getting. And then it kind of like just clashes against later in the movie, where it seems like she's this great person who's doing all these things for Baby Jane, and she's bending over backwards, getting her films. And it just, I don't know, it was a complexity that I really didn't expect out of a movie like this. And I really thought the movie really, really, really held up to time. And I don't know, I just love it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I probably would go back and watch it again a couple times. I think it would probably become a Halloween. I actually did a Halloween look based on Baby Jane, and it was based on my knowledge of like the bits and pieces I had seen here and there, like with her. And that's the other thing is like some of those moments, like Colleen is here in the background if anybody's curious. That's why I keep doing stuff like that. But she mentioned like her absolute favorite scene, and I would agree with it as well, is that moment where she's singing and in front of that big mirror, and she's kind of like, oh, I'm back and being baby Jane, da, da, da. And then she moves into the light, and that light, the way it hits her face, you can see that those wrinkles, and then that look of recognition of her being like, who the hell is that in the mirror? And just starts to scream. And then at the end of the movie, when she's going up and getting that ice cream, and like JL, you said like how she almost kind of just snapped, and she's like entirely mentally gone back to being that baby Jane of old. If you notice, the camera softens on her when she's getting her ice cream. So you don't see any of those wrinkles. She looks young. She looks happy. And it's just like, who do I feel like so many emotions? Like, who do I feel sorry for, you know? Like, baby Jane did some horrible things. She was eating birds and rats and beating up her sister, and, you know, and doing that. But then, like, she's been used by all these people. And then there's so much. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like I would want to go back to it. Not so much because I'm, like, super invested, like you said, it's not really an investment in the characters themselves. Like, are they going to combat it? But like, who, like, how should I be feeling? Who should I be rooting for? Because it's all very confusing for me. It's like puberty. I don't know what is. Wow. So that's what I have to say. That's my thoughts. It made me feel so many things.
Very passionate.
No, I feel like we'll move over to Heather, who more succinctly will be able to capture and tell her feelings for this movie. So I can talk.
Not at all. Not at all. No, I actually feel very much the same way, because I don't think I'd ever seen, I know I'd never seen the very beginning of the movie. So the whole baby Jane thing was totally lost on me with her as a kid. So I know I'd never seen that part. And I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense. So watching that, like, put kind of things into perspective as far as their future selves. And then I must have only seen the middle of the movie, which is really weird. I mean, not weird, because this is not a genre of movie I ever, like, think, you know what? I wonder whatever happened to baby Jane. So that said, I think I 100% agree with JL in particularly the one window scene when she's writing the note. And I'm thinking, why are you not just yelling? You can speak. There's nothing wrong with your mouth. So, like,
and then she, like, writes some more. I'm like,
right, like, you're done. You're done. Well, and I guess what I kind of is unfortunate about that is what I love about the movie is that there's such a good comprehension, especially when it comes to Jane's character, or Blanche, I guess. When it comes to Blanche, the anxiety that they build up around her in that little room, like, I totally get that. And so I think you feel that, but then I feel like it's almost diminished because of the frustration of things that she could do. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the point is that the anxiety was causing her to shut down, but then she didn't shut down completely. So I think it doesn't sell it well, if that's your point. I think you're just using it to move the story along in a direction that you want it. It's not, that to me just wasn't the smartest of, I don't know if it's writing or directing, because I haven't read the book. So that to me is the weak point. Definitely agree with that. But I do love, I guess I love the fact that from seeing Blanche as a kid, you expect her to grow up and be, she reminds me of Wednesday Addams as a kid also. But you expect her to grow into this really dark character. And I think it's really interesting that she doesn't seem to have turned into that until like we kind of progress a little further on into the movie. She doesn't seem to have like clung to that like I'll never forget moment that she had as a kid. And so I think that's really interesting how soft she almost played that character, when especially knowing Joan Crawford and how like out there she could be, how reserved she played. And then so that's her, but then I love the development of Baby Jane. Like I think she is the genius behind the film. Like just those little even the way she runs up the stairs like a little girl, you know, with her like little feet flying out, and she like plays with her hair like a little girl. All of those little things that she does that you just know she's been stuck somewhere. And I think a lot of it was because she was so, I don't know, abused, but definitely taken advantage of as a child. And that definitely clearly plays a huge role. But like, of course, the costuming and wardrobe and the way she does her makeup and the little beauty mark and the whole bit, her life has become a bit, you know. And so I think that's really like cleverly played. So again, not my genre of film, but I think that there are some really, and the mirror scene is one of my favorite scenes when she's singing the song, like you said. That is probably one of my favorite scenes, maybe of the film, I don't know. But definitely I love that realization when the light hits. I think that was like genius directing. Like that's probably one of my favorite moments. The other thing is I actually really like the secondary characters. I love the woman who plays, is it Elvira? I think her actual name is Mady. I loved her character. I thought she, honestly, I thought she was going to save the day. Like if it were written now, I think she would be like the hero of the story. Because well,
if she had just called the police and instead of trying to take the hinges off.
No, right? Another point where I think that they missed it. Like they missed something that could have been really cleverly done. It was just it fell flat. But I loved her character. I thought she was a great actor. And I actually really liked a lot of the things that she wore. I was really into, like, she had a little suit with some eyelet trim on it, and I was like, where did you get that? But I loved her character. I loved Edwin. Mm-hmm. Was it Edwin? Yeah. That is not a character you see in a film from that time. That is just not a character you see. And I love that he was in that movie. And I love how he played her. But then also, like, you could tell he was like, do I, like, prey on this poor old woman's sympathies? Or, you know, like, because she's clearly crazy? Or do I just go ahead and take her money? And I thought, like, it was very humorous. But also, I thought I loved him as well. So I loved that you had this tier of secondary characters that you could actually, like, really, like, get into their, like, plot points too. And then I love that you don't know who to believe is the villain. Like, that's just fabulous. Like, to not know who the bad guy is, I think it's great.
Because they all do horrific things. Like, every single one of them. Like, when Betty or Jane was getting conned by him, I was like, oh my God, that's horrible that he's doing that. But wait a minute. Look what she just did to her sister. So how can I feel bad for her? And then the fact that he has an ethical line that, like, he'll take money for anything. But then when he sees Blanche upstairs, like, that's his line in the sand. But yet you're still not going to go to the police. Yeah, there's just so many layers. I'm going to catch up everything going on in the comment section. Some talk about the tension between them. There's definitely some not acting going on. And Janet says, if Joan truly hadn't worked in 3 years before this film, it is a testament to her talent. Absolutely. And I just have to say, like, Joan was still so incredibly beautiful during the filming of this film. And I think she was, late 40s, maybe early 50s. Where was she about? Do we know?
I don't know.
All right, I'll keep talking and then maybe we'll figure that out. Let's see. A lot of people saying they would classify it more into suspense thriller or psychological horror, as Dizzy Makeup Girl says. No more wire hangers.
No wire hangers.
No wire hangers.
Has
Wouldn't
anyone
it be funny if that's actually how she played it? Like, no wire hangers. And then just, this is you the tension, more of thriller. Janet did bring up a good point. Like, there are some leaps to be made, especially with this having been in the 60s. Like, they were expected to make more leaps than we are today. And Amanda has a question. She says, do we think that Baby Jane snapped? Do you think she snapped back to Baby Jane because of the guilt she carried, or do you think she was capable of guilt? Jay, I'll start with you there.
Honestly, I think that Jane had really her character probably had multiple personalities. I think that Heather brought up a good point, or no, you brought up a good point, that I think that there was a weird relationship with the father. There probably was some abuse as a child. It was obvious that she did not want to be a child star, and she was forced into it because she was the breadwinner for the family. And then her career didn't go as well. So I think that really she probably had different personalities for coping for different situations. And I think you could kind of see that. And that's why she would kind of go back and forth. Like, I think it was less of like a true like snap. And I think that it was her going in and out of personalities. So I think that when Blanche finally admitted to her that she was the one that was driving and that she caused the accident, and she was kind of like, so you mean that like it all, and then she was basically trapped there all that time. I think that she was capable of guilt, but I think that she had I think that there were personalities that were coping, and so to keep her from these other ones would sort of like snap into place to sort of keep her from completely falling apart, even though it looks like she is. And I think that's the thing with multiple personalities, that you have these different personalities that deal with different situations, that even though that basically means a person that's fallen apart because their brain has split, but they really do sort of like protect, different parts of that person. So I think that had she known the truth right away, I think she would have been a somewhat healthier adult. But I think that because she wasn't given that opportunity, because Blanche lied, I think a lot of how sick she got in the end was really because of Blanche. I think that was sort of like that tipping point. I think it probably started as a child and sort of just escalated. But I think that she, somewhere in there, I do think that she had the ability to be remorseful, but it just got shoved aside because there was always somebody there trying to be like, nope, we're not going to go there. We're going to be a fighter, So there was like these different personalities coming in to sort of take over constantly.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, I do. I as well do think she was capable of guilt. I think guilt is probably what drove her and maybe drove that whole idea of multiple personalities. And I think one of those things, I think it's one of the, like, if you are consistently told, because she probably doesn't remember that night, and is told you did it. So she's like, oh my God, I did it, because she's probably had all these like dark feelings. And if you are told consistently that you are a monster, you have committed, a horrible act on someone you reportedly loved, because I do think she loved her sister, because she was like, I know it's such a small scene, but it's really all we're given is that scene of, well, Blanche likes ice cream too, let's get her some as well. So she is thinking about her, although she doesn't treat people very well. But if you're told constantly you're a monster, you're a monster, you're going to start to believe that, and you're going to start to behave that way. And that might have actually, driven a lot of what you were talking about, JL. But then at the end, to then realize that you weren't a monster, but you went ahead and behaved like it. Because I do have to mention, I'm drawing a blank right now. I think it was one of the Marys, or it was either Mary. I think it was a Mary that said, with her family, some of her siblings do not treat her mom and dad very well, and it just sickens her heart to see somebody who is dependent or on caretakers being treated that way. That it's very, very hard to watch. And at the end, I think it's looking back at, like, I wasn't a monster, but then I did all these monstrous things to somebody I love, and that has to do something that's just gonna just ruin your psyche. And maybe, like you said, maybe that was a personality of hers, and maybe that was the easiest and happiest one she had. Because I'll say this, at the end of the film, she seemed happy, she seemed free of something, at least. So that's my thought. What about you, Heather?
I tend to agree with a lot of that. I think she was given a lot of responsibility as a little girl. And I think it wasn't something that was necessarily in her control, but that she probably felt a lot of responsibility for her sister, even at a young age. And so, yeah, I think she probably was capable of guilt, because even though maybe she wasn't stable, even maybe not even up to the point of the accident, just that wondering, because you've been responsible for this person, and then the roles have kind of switched as you've become an adult, and your sister is now the famous one who's caring for you. Maybe you did do this, you don't remember. So yeah, I think there's definitely she had to cope. I think a lot of it is she had to cope. And so she may have gone back to a time when she was more in control and had more of that responsibility, because she had to play a caretaker role. And she had done that as a little girl, and she was having to do that now with her sister in a wheelchair. So I think maybe there's this connection between the two, of her having to revert back to some place where she felt maybe she was more powerful than as an adult. And so I think that maybe there's a little bit of that to it. And then I think at the end, I don't know. I love the end. I think I agree with the ice cream scene is another one of my favorite scenes. I think that was like one of like the most heartfelt moments, because she is considering her sister in a way that we haven't seen her do this whole time. And I don't know if it's because she feels like she's got the audience that she's always craved, or if she really is trying to like mentally come out of something. It's almost like she's mentally, like she's totally losing it, but she's also coming out of something at the same time. So it's I don't know, I think it's really interesting, especially for the time, to think through mental illness in that kind of way. I think it's interesting to watch. I don't know.
Yeah, because the other thing I remember too was, she constantly was being told like she did this horrible thing, and she was like a monster, and Blanche kept saying like, you do all these awful things to me, yet she was forced to be her caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
So if you kind of think about it, like if someone caused an accident where it broke your back, and now you're guilt them into being your caretaker, and then you're constantly telling them they do all these horrible things to you, like who wants that as their caretaker?
Right.
Like it doesn't really make sense. So as much as it seemed like Jane was the one that was sort of like abusing Blanche, you could see that at the end that really like Blanche did a lot of abuse to Jane, because she basically forced and guilted her into taking care of her by lying to her this major lie. And she already knew that she was in a fragile state at that point anyway, because her career wasn't doing as well. And there was obviously things that happened to her, like as a child. And, you know, now it's like, yeah. Now, you know, Blanche telling her, well, I'm going to sell the house and I bought this house with my money. And she's like, no, wait a second. Like, it was my money as baby Jane that bought this house. So it was like this weird, like, codependent, like, double abuse situation. And you just kind of think, who would want this person to be their caretaker for the rest of their life if they caused this horrific accident and was so horrible to them? You just really see, like, Jane really, as an adult, never had a chance. She really never had a chance to sort of really become who she might have been as an adult, because Blanche really took that away from her completely. And that may have been like that I'll never forget her childhood, was like, I'll never forget what I had to put up with her being the older sister. So now she caused my accident and she is going to be like indebted to me for the rest of her life to like get back of her. So you've got like all these layers like of just craziness going on in this movie, and it is done really, really well. Like when you really sit down and start like dissecting it, you're just like, man, these are two messed up pigs. Like,
Right.
Well, even the fact that Blanche had them write into her contract that her sister had to make a film every year, was that a form of, you know, like helping her out, or was that a way to control her and say, no, she has to make a film every year? So it was almost, it could go either way. Like she could have either been saying, oh, this is something that's important to her, so I want to make sure that she has it, or no, I'm going to control her life and say, this is, you have to be a B actress to my A actress.
Mm-hmm. Sparky Bish had a good point about Stockholm Syndrome as well. And I think, like you guys were saying, it could be going both ways. Because I think these two people were set in this cycle together, and I don't think they could really coexist without the other, or without the feeding on the,
It's so much.
I know. We should have had a psychologist on board tonight. Dizzy Makeup Girl says she backseat drives this movie as well with the yelling at people on it. So we are not alone. Oh, Mary Heron says that Baby Jane's makeup drove her insane. It really, really bothered her. I loved the choice. I think it spoke to her inner mental state and where she was, because you could almost see it progress a little bit. Like when she would go to the bank, she would be more like put together Jane. And then as she starts to disintegrate a little bit, you see like the corkscrew curls come out. And it was very much a way of communicating where she was at, even though Betty Davis, I think, Heather, you hit on it so well on how, like, Joan being subtle with things, and Betty, like, she could have taken some of this stuff way over the top, especially with the way she was, the makeup. But she didn't. In a lot of ways, she played it really, really subtle, and I just thought it was brilliantly done. But what do you guys like the makeup, or did you not like it, or how did you feel about Baby Jane's makeup?
I hate it, but I think that's the point.
Necessary for her character, I think.
You thought it was necessary?
Go ahead, Heather.
Okay. Nobody wants to talk over each other.
It's too scary. No, I definitely, like, it's like an OCD nightmare. But like, please just like wash, like how much cold cream is it going to take to get that off? But yeah, I think it was a really,
I'm sorry, wait a minute. And now I have visions of Heather like taking a napkin to the TV being like, can I just fix your lip line there?
Let me help you a little bit. You got a little something.
A little something.
But yeah, I think it was absolutely necessary to the character. Well, maybe not necessary, but I think it definitely, it added a layer of just that psychology, like you get to see what's going on inside of her head just coming out.
Because I think if they had given her like age appropriate, softer makeup like Blanche's, I think that her character, you wouldn't have understood the severity of her mental state unless she was wearing this really like crazy severe makeup. And I think it showed her trying to keep hold of that baby Jane, because you've got like, she's trying to do that like porcelain white skin, but it's too light. She has too much powder on. Her lipstick is sort of overdone. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's kind of slightly off and smeared in places. And so, it sort of really helps to capture her mental, like how unstable she really is. And it sort of shows her really trying to hold on to, she's baby Jane Hudson, and people still know who she is, she still goes out. She's like, well, I'm baby Jane Hudson,
Oh, remember me.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, so I think that in her mind, like that makeup is like keeping that alive, even though it looks horrible and everyone's nightmare when they look at her. They're just like, crazy old lady. But again, that's why it's like that, because it helps to like reinforce that, like the crazy wig with the weird curls and it's sort of undone. It sort of all plays into where she is. And you look at Blanche, and Blanche is in a wheelchair and she has a broken back, but her hair still looks good and her makeup is done nicely, and her wardrobe, even in a wheelchair, she looks very stylish for her age. So it sort of just gives that,
contrast.
Contrast. I think if she had, softer makeup, it wouldn't have worked for her character.
And I do, at the same time though, and I think it was Mary again. It's probably a Mary. We're 90% Marys in the comments tonight. No, just kidding. And I think probably the makeup is meant to bug you. So I think if you are bothered by it, I think that's exactly what Betty intended. Because if we're to believe the TV series, that was very much a character choice on her part. Extra points if you read the book, though, because we're wondering if some of the stuff is in the book as well. A lot of talk about the black and white. Samantha says, Heather, love that top, girl. But Samantha had to go. She's not here anymore, but if she comes back. Oh, Janet Foster. I don't know why I was so formal. Miss Foster comments in the comment section that she says, come on, gals. That scene, the neighbor's radio is on. I don't think she was that angry, but I like to put my own inflections behind your comments, guys. She thinks that it's inferred that Blanche wouldn't be heard over the radio, which is a really good catch because I didn't catch that about the radio. But now knowing that, that would kind of make sense.
It wasn't always on.
No.
Well, and
I get it. But I think that is, they were trying to give us maybe that in that scene, a little bit of the reason why she wasn't trying to yell out the window.
Well, talking to the doctor, hello, help, I need help is a good place to start. Not like, my sister.
She just rings the bell. Who was downstairs? Why didn't you?
Okay, and how about this? Instead of calling the doctor, call the freaking police. Let's start there. They're all, Dizzy Makeup Girl says they're all villains, the whole lot of them. Mary says because her sister abused her so much that she couldn't say anything. And then we got frozen. We were frozen. Oh no, we're frozen. So much so that Samantha left us. No, she just said. And then we were back. Mary Heron says Thunder Road movie, 12 Angry Men, Fort Apache for those that want an old movie. And also, we are going to be using the polls for next month's movie, for May's movie. So be sure to go over to the Facebook page, Vintage Classy Chicks Vintage Flicks, and let us know what you want to see for May's movie. Jay will put a little pin up for you guys for your suggestions. Dark Rose 1870 joined us as well. Welcome, welcome. And Mary says, I tell ya, that Blanche and that damn buzzer would have drove me crazy.
I agree. Holy mother. And then she's like so sweet when you go up and you're like, no, you meant that.
That beep, you know, there were moments where it was like her finger was on the button until Jane came upstairs. I would have smacked her around too. I would have been
Yeah,
like,
I would have ripped that button off the wall as well.
Mm-hmm. I'd have cooked their bird too.
I would have been like, downstairs is becoming your bedroom. You're welcome. You can do for yourself from now.
Dark Rose 1870 is not familiar with the movie. Just really quick, it is a psychological horror film. We're about two sisters that aging movie stars that are out to get one another. We will just leave it at that. This video will go up onto the YouTube channel, so you can. If Heather does a beautiful job at the beginning, kind of doing a synopsis of it. So if you want to watch the beginning when it goes up live, that will give you a really good idea of what it is. Mary lists some more about movies that make rockabilly what it is today. Yolanda made it. She was late, but she was she's the one who suggested today's movie. Oh, I'm officially making a favorite comment of the night award, which I need something like little. I'm gonna get confetti or something. For now, we'll do this. Favorite comment of the night. Oh man, now I gotta pick all those up. This comes the anticlimactic part. And the funniest thing is, I can't say your name. It's Ye Cart Rennant. Says, every time you see Joan Crawford or Jessica Lange playing her, I have to consciously stop myself from overdrawing my eyebrows.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, apparently when the video froze, I was stuck in an interesting pose. That is like my nightmare. That is the nightmare I live with. Janet says it's all about the hand gestures. Oh no. Now I'm very concerned. Ye Cart Reddit does love those glasses. And Disney Makeup Girl says that the makeup definitely brought the crazy. Oh, Mary, Vintage Camper Gal, says the railway running behind the house was noisy. So, maybe. Is there one back there? Maybe, yeah.
Came home and this room is above the garage, so it might have been the garage door opening when Matt came home. Sorry.
Janet Foster says Frozen, because I guess we got a little Frozen again. Frozen, the cold never bothered me anyway.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, Hush Peanut Gallery. Retro Waste is here and says, hi, gals. Hi, thank you very much for joining us. Yolanda says the movie gods don't like her today. She suggested it, couldn't find it to watch, and now she's late. Movie gods don't like her today. Yes.
It was like Netflix, and then all of a sudden it was like gone just because we're going to watch it now.
I think it's because of the TV series. They're going to make money off the renting of it now, right? Because
I bought it on Amazon for like $4.99. So I was like, I'll just buy it. It's cheaper than.
And Mary said, no, just kidding. No train. Okay. You know how easy it is to confuse me, Mary. And I, too much to JL and Heather's relief, I'm not asking the question they dread every month, and that is, who would you recast in this movie? Because quite frankly, I think that has already been done. If you were going to recast it, I think right now it would have to be Jessica Lange and Susan Sarandon, because they are killing it in Feud. Right now, it is probably one of my favorite TV series. that is on the TVs that does not involve zombies at the moment. Have you guys watched it as well? Comments and Jail and Heather. I know Heather has. Right?
Well, we just got cable again. So I haven't been able to watch it, but I'm hoping to find it like on repeat somewhere. So I have to like look up on the DVR like what time and what channel it is because I'm getting used to cable again, and
I think it's FX, isn't it?
like understand all the channel numbers right now. A whole new world.
How does this remote work? What button do I push?
Where are my channels? Yeah.
Where's my big dial for my TV?
I like pictures up on her wall, and she has her friends over and she's talking about it like it's like Facebook, like you're posting pictures on your wall, and her friends like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. That's how I feel. Like I'm that old lady like taping pictures like to the wall right now, trying to like remember how cable works, because I keep going back to like Sling TV with our, like our 4 channels on Sling TV, and oh wait, no, I have like 5,000 channels again. There has to be something, and so I keep like stuff. Like I don't even know what TV shows are on anymore because we literally haven't had any like form of cable for like at least 2 years. So I have no clue what's going on in like the realm of TV world. So hoping to find like a late night replay that I can record because I have a TV. And I can record things again. Very exciting.
They should, they'll probably play them on repeat as well, because like I said, it's only in the 3rd episode, so they're probably, and I believe the ratings have been fairly well, so I would think repeats.
And I feel like I'm seeing something like this may, once it's done, end up moving to Netflix. I'm not sure if I'm keeping that up in my head, but I feel like it's streaming or even like Hulu or something like that.
You know what, the series might go up on Netflix because I think FX has a deal with them for some of their shows, so after the season ends it goes on there. That may be a thing.
You can watch the first episode for free if you have, I don't know if you just have normal Amazon or if you have Amazon Prime. You can watch the first episode for free. I watched it and then I bought the series because I haven't had cable in like 15 years. So
well, and if you can watch the first episode on Amazon, I'm sure FX will play episode 2 and 3.
Yeah, it's there. If you buy it, you get the episodes as they're released.
Yep.
So like you get them at the same time that they play on air. So I just went ahead and bought it I'm caught up to. I watched episode 3 yesterday.
Sweet.
So yeah.
I can't find any link to download or watch the movie. I did it on Amazon. I got the movie off of Amazon. I don't know, where did you, Heather, you got yours from Amazon. What about you, Jael? Where'd you find yours?
Vudu.
Vudu?
It's VUDU. It's a app website. It's sort of like Hulu and Netflix, but it's just movies. Sometimes you can even like watch rent movies that are still in the theater that haven't been released yet. So it's just a movie streaming website, but it was like $2.99 to rent it.
And Yolanda said it was on the Classic Movie Channel today, so I definitely check if you have like on demand or something. You might be able to find it there as well. And Janet says capitalistic scum because now it's not on Netflix for free. Dark Rose said her name is Jamie. Hello, Jamie. And Yolanda is also frowny face because it was on TCM today at 1 while she was at work. So yes, the old movie gods are not a fan of Yolanda today, but we are. And really, we matter more than the movie gods, right? They also, Retro Waste also asked if we think that she should watch the movie first and then the series, or the other way around.
I would watch the series. Maybe just like the first episode and then watch the movie. I found it more because I watched the film and then I watched the first episode, so then when I went back to the movie, I was like, ooh, I think I enjoyed it more.
Yeah, Colleen is in the background saying watch the movie first. But I do yeah.
I don't know. It depends on how much you already know about Betty and Joan.
I feel like, you know what, after the feud is done, I will go back and rewatch it in its entirety, just so I know, like, those scenes that they talk about, where they fall in. But I also like the idea of...
If I haven't seen it, I wouldn't watch more than the first episode. Like, because it'll give away really important things. So if you have...
yeah.
Don't watch more than the first episode if you don't want like huge spoilers.
Yeah, I would say movie, series, and then movie again.
Retro Waste, do you guys have Netflix? She's in Chile, which sounds like a fabulous place to be right now. And Amazon TV is not available there in Chile. FX Online. If you try that, I know sometimes if you're out of the country, they'll limit your access to the full episodes, but there is a way. I am not very tech savvy, but there's a way. There's like switchy proxies out there that you can mask your IP to make it. Oh God, that sounds like I know.
No, but that's how I used to watch all of my British television was
yeah, that's how I used to do it too. So if you can get a switchy proxy, and they're usually pretty easy to do, you can find them online and then go on to FX Online. You should be able to see it. As far as the movie, I would say if you have iTunes or anything similar to that, you should be able to find it for rent. So hopefully that might help, so you can find the movie as well. This is one of the things I wanted to mention early. I know we are already over time, but one thing I want to talk about before we go is how the hell did Baby Jane know where to dump a body? Because here's what I was thinking the entire time, because she gets almost caught because she leaves her lights on, and the neighbor comes around and is like, oh, I saw your lights on, and oh, that would suck if your battery was dead. Dun, 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 right? Okay, like, if you have ever driven anywhere, especially as a teenager, and maybe tried to make out with somebody or, like, have a drink of alcohol, allegedly, hypothetically, I've heard that teenagers do these kind of things. I never did anything like that. But you always get caught, right? So how does Baby Jane know, like, oh, if I go to Ventura, I think is where she dumped the body. I mean, granted, it got found. But how did she get away with dumping a body where nobody was going to see it? Do people know these spots? I mean, is this just something I don't know? Like, who would help me dump a body if I had to?
Maybe that's part of being an actress.
It's probably a good thing I don't know.
It's probably a good spot to body, especially at that point. It's probably not as close as it is now.
Yeah.
I could see that, driving that part of the highway. There's some good stretches of nothingness. Like,
what do you think would okay, so Dizzy Makeup Girl said it's not like BJ, which, by the way, the fact that you guys have been using BJ for Baby Jane all night has been silently cracking me up because I'm 12. She said it's not like she could ask Siri, but what do you think would happen if I asked Siri where to hide a body? Do you think it would call the police?
I don't know. I feel like this is something Dax Shepard has done.
Where can I bury a body?
I used to know the answer to this.
Oh, that's anticlimactic.
Does that mean she's a murderer?
Barely.
Ask her if Ventura, California is a good place to dump a body.
Is Ventura, California a good place to dump a body?
Okay, give me a moment. Okay, I found this on the web for Is Ventura, California a good place to dump a body?
Oh! It's like dump trucks for sale. Best dump sites.
Should you ask her whatever happened to baby Jane?
Okay, hold on. Whatever happened to baby Jane?
I'm not sure I understand.
She's so lame.
I feel like she used to be funnier.
I do too.
Janet says the Black Dahlia murderer told her where to dump him.
See? Hollywood general knowledge.
And then Christina is like, wait. You mean you've never asked Siri before? And she says she used to really tell you, but dumping a body in the Everglades is a good idea. Oh, yeah. I feel like Florida in general is a good idea. In Louisiana, I feel like would be a good place.
Swamp-like area.
She tells you she used to say the city dump. See, she used to be funnier. Or even if she said, like, your local police station, that would be funnier.
Anything. Nah.
Anything. I'll tell you. These Apple devices aren't really holding up to their reputations, are they? All right, so we are a cadoodle over time here. Thank you guys so much for coming out and hanging out with us tonight and talking about whatever happened to Big Jane. And as always, once the video goes live, sadly, we lose all the amazing conversation that happens. But feel free, if you want, to keep the questions going in the comment section of the video. We do respond to them. And as well, follow us on our Facebook group, Classy Chicks Vintage Flicks. I mean, it just rolls off the tongue. It usually does, but whenever I'm thinking about having to say it, it never does. So what that's about, I have no idea. So go ahead, follow us over there. As we mentioned, Heather's gonna link to some of the Hissy Fit videos as they go up. And seriously, if you haven't seen them, please go watch them. They are amazing. And then JL and her amazing lips, given lip tude tonight, she will link in the group as well, where you can find that lipstick. And Dizzy Makeup Girl says, I'm from Louisiana. We had our own bodies. We don't need more. You know, I guess mainly in Chicago, I guess the mob used to basically just go over the border of Indiana and dump them. So we can just try tossing them over there for a while. I don't know. So as always, if you want to throw in a suggestion for next month's video, go ahead and go over to where? I don't know, the Facebook group, and let us know what your recommendations are. We will be taking a poll for May's movie. And follow us on all of our social medias. You can find Heather as How to Be Fancy, JL is Modern Retro Girl, and this one here is A Vintage Vanity. And once again, if you weren't here at the beginning, 2/3 of us will be at Viva Las Vegas. So if you are planning on being there, please come out and see us. We are planning a meetup, JL and I, and it will be, I believe, on Friday night. Time to be determined, to follow our social medias to find out when that's going to be. And we're going to do something like maybe at the piano bar or something, just so we can hang out and socialize and have some drinks and talk and just have a more casual environment just to all hang out together. And we will be bringing Flat Fancy back with us. And stay tuned because Heather's going to be announcing the Flat Fancy contest. Whoever gets the best picture with us for the entirety of Viva, come find us to get your picture taken with Flat Fancy. Oh, Yolanda's missing Viva too. Her son's wedding. Son's wedding, though, is a good reason. So have an amazing night, you guys, and we shall see you next month for our next movie discussion, ladies, if you'd like to say goodnight.
Good night.
I wrote a letter to Daddy.
No, stop.
I can't remember the next line, though.
I can't either.
What is it?
His address is heaven above.
Oh, yeah. His address is heaven above. All right, guys, have a great night, and we will see you soon. Bye. Shop Thomas Starlet.com.